Thank you. To be clapped on is fantastic. If I walk away in silence, I'll know that it's been a complete failure and mistakes been made. First of all, good evening everybody. For some of whom I know, friends and foes of course, friendly foes I hope, and thank you for asking me along. What needs to be achieved in Cambridgeshire infrastructure-wise cannot please everybody. I think we all admit that. However, the situation we are currently in does not please everybody either. So solutions have to be made, and in particular, the problems in the south of Cambridgeshire and around Cambridge must be addressed, because if we do not address those problems, the issues will get worse and worse. A few small facts. Cambridge alone will create, or Cambridge and South Cambs District will create 44,000 new jobs in the next 15 years. There is a problem. If we are going to carry on as a world leader, as one of the most successful economies in the Western world, we have to deal with our infrastructure issues. And if we do not deal with our infrastructure issues, the danger is that the very thing that drives our economy, our university, and technological expertise that comes out of that hub of intelligence and learning will be at risk, because if academics can't afford to come to live in this part of the world, the whole bubble will begin to burst, and if the bubble bursts, we will all be affected, as we are all affected anyway, because travelling in and out of the city is horrendous, public transport is not of the standard necessary, and we have to find a solution, which is why you've asked me along, because you think potentially I have all the answers, and I'd love to say that I do. You may know my proposal, or a proposal that I have backed, is a proposal for light rail, and the more that I look into it, the more it seems to be a sensible answer. I'm not here to criticise the GCP. I will forget to use GCP, by the way. Eventually I'll slip into City Deal, you'll forgive me. I'm not here to criticise the City Deal, straight away. Because their remit has been a South Cambs City remit. However, the solutions to the problems in South Cambs and the City go far wider than just South Cambs and the City. And the growth that's coming to this part of the world, and is already here, cannot be sustained by such a small area. So we have to provide a transport solution that goes wider than just Cambridge and South Cambridgeshire. Having a solution on the table that effectively extends a park and ride, I do not believe to be the right way. I understand why it was put forward, because the remit of the GCP was to work within the boundaries of South Cambridgeshire and the City. But if we continue along that line, we will not solve the problem. And it is a radical solution that is necessary, and it is an expensive solution that is necessary. But the growth of Cambridge, job-wise, will not also be the growth housing-wise, if you understand what I'm saying. The growth of housing that is needed to serve the greater community, or the jobs that are coming to Cambridge, will not be found just from South Cambs, and it certainly will not be found from the City of Cambridge, because there simply isn't the room to expand in the City of Cambridge. So we have to utilise the surrounding area. We have to connect St Neots and Haverhill, and potentially Mr Trump willing Milton Hall Air Base, but I don't want to get into the politics of America as well, but it is a huge part of what we're trying to achieve here. And we have to connect them with a system that is safe, that people know how to use, and is efficient, and is affordable. Because this is about housing growth as well. The way you pay for systems like the underground light rail, the way you pay potentially for an M11 extension, or an A10, or an A47, and the other schemes before you mention them, that we need in Cambridgeshire, you have to come up with an idea, a way of paying for these schemes, because simply ticket sales are not going to be enough in the short term, certainly, to pay for them. So I've been mentioning this several times over the last couple of months, and I was speaking to government about this as well. I believe in a land cap for the areas where we are putting forward our major schemes for Cambridge. And let me try and explain how a land cap potentially would work. And I'll use, as we're to the west of Cambridge, I will use a potential light rail link between Cambridge and St Neots as an example of how it could be paid for. If you introduce a land cap along the corridor of growth, currently land value without a light railway, where there's no growth, is agricultural price, which is around £8,000 to £10,000 an acre. As soon as you put a light railway in and somebody draws a magic line around the settlement, that price goes up from £8,000 to £10,000 an acre to around £1 million to £1.5 million an acre. And that money is lost to the greater economy. It's absolutely wonderful for those people who own the land where the magic line has been put round, but that money is lost to the economy. I believe that if you were to cap land value at 10 times agricultural price, I think that's a fair return on land that goes for housing. But you take the land value comes back into the system. So if you were to build, for example, on the edge of St Neots, 10,000 new houses where the land had been capped at £100,000 an acre, of those houses which are market houses, which would be around 7,000, you could have an average. Don't quote me on these prices. I'm just giving you an example. You could have an average of £30,000 a house that could be paid back into the fund that was used to set up the line in the first place. And you repeat that along the line where the growth happens between St Neots and Haverhill, and you can see how vast amounts of money can be paid back into a fund that was needed to set up and drive forward an underground and light rail for Cambridge. You can't really do that in the centre, the most expensive bit, because the land is already mostly developed. But you can do it on the periphery. You add to that, of course, the ticket sales over a 20 to 30 year period or more, and you can understand suddenly how an investor might be interested in coming to the Combined Authority and talking to us about how you can build a light railway or something similar. I don't want to cut out the ABRT issue because it's not been studied again. One has not been studied against the other, but I'm just using light rail as an example. So the fact is that if it's affordable, it becomes achievable. I believe it's affordable, and I believe it's achievable. And then you have to bring in timeframes. And I have to rely on people who know about these things, because I don't know how many of you have, but I've never built an underground or a railway. So I have to rely on people who have. And those people who have are telling me the problem isn't digging the tunnels or laying the track. The problem is getting it through the process. And I also think that because of this new Combined Authority that we now have, we have an ability to get it through the process much more quickly. I'm also not naive enough to expect that when the plans go forward for where the railway goes, that some of you very people who are upset by the busway might also be upset by the light rail. So nothing is ever simple, and there is no answer that pleases everybody. But I will go back to my original statement, that is, the situation we are in doesn't please everybody either, and a solution must be found. So, I'm not, as I said, I'm not here to criticise the GCP. They're working under a smaller geographical area than I am, and their remit is slightly different to my remit. But we have a housing crisis that needs to be solved. We have an economy that is growing at an extraordinary amount in this part of the country, and we have a traffic problem. So I put it to you that a light rail, an underground for Cambridge, is affordable and achievable, and I put it to you that I will work to both make sure that these words are not hollow, but are ones that I can back up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jen. Any questions on either from, well, over Bev.
Thank you. I've been interested in Colin Harris's light rail plans for a long time, and I've been a long-term supporter of his ideas. And I've been doing some research into the ability of people to switch from car transport to other means of transport. This is just one of a number of reports that I've read. Consistent market research and experience over the last 50 years in Europe and North America shows that car commuters are willing to transfer some trips to rail-based public transport, but not to buses. Typically, light rail systems attract between 30 and 40% of their patronage from former car trips. Rapid transit bus systems attract less than 5% from cars, less than the variability of traffic. So, in addition to it being affordable, is the light rail system likely to have a higher ridership?
Well, it has to be user accessible. So, the most modern light railway systems are driverless and therefore can run late and early. Neither of which our current bus system does, although they will be looking to review the system, of course, as well. But so you've got the figures. I think that is right. I haven't done personal research on that, but we will be putting work into that. The figures that I've been given is it will take around 30% of cars off the road where there is a light rail. So that corresponds really with what you're saying. I'm sure that all of us would agree that if you can get 30% of the cars off the road, that's good for the commuters, it's good for the environment, it's good for the health of the people who use the roads and live in the towns and villages around Cambridge and in the city itself. So if that could be achieved, I would be a very, very happy man.
We have a couple of questions over here. Can you introduce yourself, Alistair?
Sure. James, Alan Tracy from Cotoy, good evening. Thanks for coming along. It's been very interesting to hear your thoughts. And I was particularly struck by your comment that one's got to look outside the immediate remit of the city deal people when considering what is the right transport solution for the area. Given your remarks, wouldn't it make sense for you to have a seat on the city deal?
I would rather be independent, and I believe that as two of my cabinet members are already on the city deal, I don't feel that I need to be there as well. Both Lewis Herbert, the leader of the City Council, and Peter Topping are trusted members of my cabinet, and I don't think that me being on there would help the situation at all. I think that they are able and quite capable without me being there to make these decisions.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got one here and three here, so we'll start here.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Antony Carpen, I'm filming this evening. I've been one of the people also who's backed and been very interested in the light rail concept that Colin Harris came up with. I run the Facebook page. How do you see the role of people in the community who support the light rail, working with to support the whole process all the way through to its finish? Because we often hear a lot about how people are opposed to transport systems, but this is one certainly where I've heard a lot of people are actually in favour of it. So what do you, as our new county mayor, see our role as? Thank you.
Thank you. Where's Alphonse, by the way?
I'm filming, so no dragon, sorry.
When our feasibility study is completed, it will go public, and we will then obviously go through periods of public consultation, etc., should it prove to be what I hope it to be. And then I would hope the public will, as well as putting in those who put in negative comments, I would hope the public will take part in the consultation and support. And as we know in virtually every situation, whatever it is, those people who are against are far, far more vocal than those who are for. And as I said, what I'm proposing is not going to please all of you either. You know, that's obvious. It can't. You know, you can't be a politician and please everybody. You all know that. So, but take part in the consultations. You know, put your name forward. If you are in support, make it public that you are.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Penny Heath from North Newton Residents Association. I was wondering, in your business plan, concept business plan, whether you included tourism, because Cambridge gets 4.5 million people a year, which is £450 million, and obviously they're trying to encourage people to go and spread their prosperity into Cambridgeshire. Is that part of your business plan calculations?
It's a very good point. Well, everything we do is linked. So tourism is very much part of what the Mine Authority are trying to achieve. We, as you say, we know that Cambridge has 4.5 million visitors a year, and those people come to Cambridge for half a day and then go somewhere else. We want them to stay in Cambridgeshire. If they can get around Cambridgeshire much more easily, the chances are that they will utilise the system to do that. The problem we have is that many of the people who come to the UK are from very, very large countries, where coming to visit Cambridge and Stonehenge in one day is not seen as a big issue. It's just a pop around the corner. So, of course, they've been driven around our roads to probably get here, so they probably don't understand it. So the answer is yes. If I was in Peterborough, they would be saying, how do we get these 5 million up to Peterborough? If I'm in Ely, they'd say the same. And we all want to take a share of that 5 million tourists that come to the city of Cambridge, but we also want to stay longer. So I think it will help, but I can't give you a whole lot of business on this, I'm afraid.
Antony from South Cambridge Transport. Now, I'd like to ask you, it's well known the City Deal Greater Cambridge Partnership is continuing, the juggernaut is proceeding. It has spent £1.8 million so far on developing plans that we're considering in this lab. Now, your feasibility study is sort of running in parallel with this. The Greater Cambridge Partnership is still burning through money with consultants to assess the feasibility of all these various options for busway. At what point do we put a brake on this project, or call a halt on the feasibility for the light rail and choose a path? I mean, it seems madness to be spending money on both unnecessarily.
Well, of course, I'm at fault for that to an extent, because I've come into the game late. The City Deal, as it were putting forward a solution that was within their boundaries, as I've suggested. But we're trying to work quickly, so we're trying to get this study done at pace to allow GCP to see what other options are on the table. I think that working together as one, we will come up with a solution that's right for not just people of Cambridge and South Cambs, but beyond. And I'm sure that we will find the right solution, which will be, in the end, the best financially feasible system that provides the answer we know.
Desert Ryan.
Yeah, Desert Ryan, South Cambridge, District Councillor for Bourne. I'm just picking up on Edward's point, and you mentioned at the beginning that you see yourself as having a different remit, but yet you still cover many of the same areas. So although your area is broader, it does contain Cambridge and South Cambridge. And I worry, first of all, I am very much in favour of the light rail. Personally, I'm very much in favour of the light rail. But going back to Edward's point, I think we're now coming to a bit of a situation where we've got a little bit of a he said, she said situation, where I think as people locally, we read the papers and we hear what other people are saying, and it's very, very difficult to work out how we're going to make progress in this sort of treacle-like situation that we've now got, where our mayor is proposing something really quite different, more open-ended, and the city deal have proposed something that is very much driven around the local plan and getting the local plan through. So we've got lots of sort of conflicts, and I don't really see too many ways of resolving these easily.
Thank you. There's always a solution, and the solution isn't necessarily met by me shouting the odds in one room and the City Deal, or GCP shouting the odds in another. So I will ask you to try and trust that we'll work out between us and bring you the answer as one.
Thank you. Well, Edward really asked the question I was going to ask, but the only other thing I was going to say was, is there a risk that the City Deal Greater Cambridge Partnership, ploughing on the busway actually serves to undermine what you would like to do with light rail?
Well, the risk is that if that were to happen, that this part of Cambridgeshire doesn't get the best possible solution, in my opinion, to the transport problems. But, I think that we can work together, and I think that we will work together for the good of the people of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. I must add that in, by the way, even though it's not away from here. And it's not just my working with the city that has to be harmonious, it's many other areas as well. So, you're going to have to, I know it's hard, and I know you've been living this GCP city deal issue, and the reason why there's so many here is because there's been problems. But please try and trust us to work it out.
Thank you. I suppose my question is really from one farmer to the next farmer. 50% of all of the wheat we grow in the United Kingdom is actually grown in a 50-mile radius of Cambridge. And so it's following on a little bit from what Dad said about sort of duplication of transport links, but also linked to it is housing. And I don't think with food security and everything like that, I suppose I've been banging on South Cambs, Antony City here, the importance of land. Every hectare you lose is about 19,000 loaves of bread out of the supermarkets, and I just wondered what your views were on food.
Well, perhaps if I could have made that kind of many loaves of bread on my grade 3 land in Surrey, I perhaps wouldn't be here, annoying several of you here. So, of course, some of the land we have in Cambridgeshire is some of the best agricultural land in the world. Fenland alone grows 30% of vegetables that we eat in the UK. As you said, some of the land here in South Cambridgeshire, extraordinarily strong, good wheat land that I wish I'd have had a few acres of, but didn't have. So, you're right in that some of our agricultural land is outstanding, but we also have some pretty poor standard grade 3 and grade 4 land as well. I would love to stand here and say to you we can build 100,000 extra new homes in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and not build on a single acre of land, farmland, but the reality is that we can't, and I think you know that as well as I do. So it's making sure that by creating transport links, that we grow our houses on the land that perhaps isn't the best to grow our wheat and others.
Stephen Coates, last question. Oh, Phil, one more. Okay.
I suppose my question is this: I think the bus road lines don't work, and I think the bus road lines you can see this evening are an unworkable solution. I mean, for example, on Sunday alone there were 100 large tourist buses parked around Grange Road. We need an underground. But the problem is, and this is my question, is that Cambridge has been, I think, shortchanged by government. You've been given, Lewis always talks about, we've got £100 million, and yet there is this disconnect between Cambridge as this city which has hundreds of billions of pounds of company value, and this small amount of money. And the reason we are where we are is because Lewis has banged on about this £100 million, I've got to build this bus road. So my question to you is, how are you going to get people like Theresa May to give you £2 billion and do the job properly in time to be able to say to people like Lewis, you can't do your cold comfort farm option, because that's what he's sort of going for.
The answer is I'm not going to get Theresa May to give me £2 billion because I've seen the figures and it just isn't happening. So I've got to find ways of putting together business plans even that can create the wealth necessary to build the light rail, and that's why I went and spoke in detail about a potential land cap for our project. So if I go to government and say we want to build an underground and light railway and it's going to cost us £2.5 billion, they will say, well, come back when you've done better. If you look at the Northern Line extension in London, It was put together with 25,000 homes plus business growth, etc. And then they were able to go to the market and get investment in. I'm in a fortunate position that we have something here in Cambridgeshire that international investment companies want to invest in, and that's the phenomenon of Cambridge. And they want to be part of it. So we've got to find a way of making sure that those international investors have something tangible to invest in. And what I'm hearing when I've spoken to them, if they can have something, a project over 30 to 40 years, where they gain 3% per annum, that's the kind of interest that they're expecting and wanting from a scheme. So if we can put together a scheme that has a land cap, that has an uplift in the value of the land, which brings back an immediate sum, or some over a period of time, plus ticket value, I think the sums add up to the investment. And what I want to do is to be able to go to government with not just a scheme for the light rail and the underground for Cambridge, but also, as I've said, the M11, the A10, the A47, Wisbeach Rail, and Tom Cobby and all the other schemes that are so important to this county. And in the same way, say to government that we've got a clear business plan here that adds up. A relatively small investment, i.e. your backing, will allow us to glean the investment necessary to build these schemes. So, you know, I've always said I am ambitious, and I may fall flat on my face, and there's some behind me who will desperately hope I do. but if I don't fall flat on my face, we'll make a better county, one that's fairer to everybody. People will get around and share in the wealth that's here in the south, in the north of the county. So.
Thank you, James. Helen.
Yes, thank you for all of that. It seems to me, though, that a sensible course of action here would be to defer any further decisions on the A48 busway until these feasibility studies are completed and people have time to look at them and have input. Bizarre, you know, very, very difficult to understand if we plough on in the same vein when these larger, more strategic, longer-term options are under consideration, being investigated.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, James. That was great. Thank you.